one is an important part for both and MBBS short case, a short note, a short case, and obviously multiple MCQs from this area. Now, what you are required to remember in this is there are two diseases to talk over. One is something called as a thyroglossal cyst, which is a common MBBS case, come short note and a multiple MCQs across time. And another one is something which is a very rare one, something called as a lingual thyroid, which is a rare MCQ, not an MBBS topic anymore. The development of the thyroid, however, comes in surgery, anatomy, and ENT as an MCQ, not as a part of MBBS question. So let us start with the first part, that is, what is the development of the thyroid? Now, as I have said, this is not an anatomy class, and I will be very brief, exactly to the point that you are required to know. Now, whenever we talk about the development of the thyroid or the embryology of the thyroid, if you like to write it like this one, the embryology oblique the development of the thyroid. Remember that the thyroid is an endodermal structure. This is the first one to remember. It is derived from endoderm, not ecto or meso. Okay. So it is an endodermal structure. Now, endoderm structure means we are talking about the thyroid follicle. Please remember this. That means thyroid follicle, because we are gradually coming from the anatomy, etc. part to now talk about physiology and pathology. So this is the thyroid follicles, and these thyroid follicles are derived from endoderm. Now, what is important is that if these are the two follicles that we have drawn, in between the follicles, there are other ingredients which, however, are not exactly endodermal. That includes, as you can see in the picture, there is a group of cells which are called as parafollicular cells, which are probably known to have a neural crest origin. Okay, we do not know what exactly is the origin, and people still to this date are confused what are they doing in the thyroid. The only important thing is thyroid follicle is responsible for secretion of thyroid hormones, which, as you know, is extremely important in the human body. Parafollicular cells are known to secrete a hormone that is called as calcitonin. I hope all of you have heard this name of calcitonin. Yes or no?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
What is the role of calcitonin in the human body?
Mobilizing the calcium from blood to the bones.
Okay, that means calcitonin is known to decrease the level of blood calcium, isn't it?
Yes,
This
sir.
is okay. Does every one of you agree to this? If you
Yes,
have
sir.
been taught this,
Yes, sir.
the answer is this is the most important bullshit that you have been taught. This is not exactly the thing that happens in a human body. The human body calcitonin is with no function. That means even when the calcium rises in the blood, the human calcitonin is absolutely worthless. It will not do a single point of decreasing the calcium. It is not going to decrease the calcium. Please remember this. So if you ask me, why did God make calcitonin in the human body? The answer is for making an MCQ. so that one kind of a cancer called as medullary thyroid cancer can have a marker or a tumor marker called as calcitonin. So if you have known calcitonin decreases the serum calcium, in human body, human calcitonin does not decrease the serum calcium. This is the important shocking truth that I told you today. I do not know whether you have been taught about this in physiology or pathology or not. So, but in which disease does the calcitonin levels rise? What is the name of the disease in which calcitonin levels rise?
Medullary carcinoma.
Thyroid. That's it. So please remember that if you are wondering that what is the role of parafollicular cells, the only role is to secrete calcitonin. What is the role of calcitonin in your body? No one knows the answer yet. Okay. The other part of this thing is that, so this is parafollicular cells. The other things in the thyroid can include blood vessels, can include a little amount of fibrous tissue. Okay. And what is important is this is derived from the mesoderm. So mesoderm is responsible for development of blood vessels as in the rest of the human.
So can't hear me. Sir, sound has shifted.
Mute. Come on, man. Someone muted me. Oh. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
someone muted me, man. What can I do? Okay, chalo. So to start with, so now let us see about what happens in the thyroid. Okay. So am I audible now, and can you see my screen?
Yes,
sir.
Good.
Yes, sir.
So let us talk about the development of the thyroid. Now, when you talk about the development of the thyroid or the embryology of the thyroid, what happens is that there is a pit or a midline pit that develops at the junction at between the or something called as a foramen cecum. Now, the foramen cecum is the junction between the anterior 2/3 and the posterior 1/3 of the tongue. So it is this pit which is called as the foramen cecum. Now, after this pit is done, remember that this pit is followed by a tubular prolongation of an endodermal tube. It is a tubular prolongation of an endodermal tube. The endodermal tube that is prolonged, please see the picture, is related to the hyoid bone, and when it is related to the hyoid bone, see the relationship with the hyoid bone. The relationship with the hyoid bone is it is anterior and inferior, and after it goes below the hyoid bone, it comes in front of the laryngeal cartilage and finally at the level of the tracheal ring, as I have said, it divides into two branches or two sides. Each of the side makes one lobe of the thyroid. So I will write what I have said. Okay. So it is a tubular prolongation of an endodermal tube. It is related. How is it related to the hyoid? It is related anterior and inferior to the hyoid, and it is now anterior to the laryngeal cartilage. It is now anterior to tracheal ring. Okay, right. So, and then it divides into two lobes. So now tell me, what is the main tube remnant called as? So in an adult, if this is the picture, exactly. So if this is the picture, remember, sorry, if this is the picture, remember that the main tube remnant in an adult is usually the isthmus of the thyroid. In the first class, I told you there will be a process which can arise from the isthmus. What is this process called as?
Pyramidal.
Very good. So I have
Thyroglossal
shaded.
cyst.
No, sir. Sir,
50% case.
it is called as pyramidal lobe.
Levator.
So this is called as a pyramidal lobe. So what is pyramidal lobe? Pyramidal lobe is a remnant of
Thyroid.
thyroglossal tract. So pyramidal lobe is a remnant of thyroglossal tract. Isthmus represents the midline split of the thyroglossal tract. I hope you understand what is TG, thyroglossal tract. And each of the lobe is a remnant of or is derivative from the thyroglossal tract branching. Okay, so this is what you are required to understand into this picture. So should I repeat this full thing again, or have you taken this down?
Sir, please repeat once.
Okay, sir, it starts from the midline pit in the foramen cecum. Please see that it starts from the midline pit at the foramen cecum. Where is the foramen cecum situated? 2/3 and 1/3 of which organ? Sir, it is tongue. And then what is the next part? Sir, the next part is that there is a tubular prolongation of the endodermal tube. So remember, it is endoderm. What is this endodermal tube doing? What is it related to? Which bone is it related to? It is related to
Hyoid.
which bone? It is related to the hyoid. And what is it related to by? It is anterior and inferior. If it is anterior and inferior, then what is the next structure in front? Is the laryngeal cartilage. And if this is the laryngeal cartilage, what is this tube doing? It is anterior to the laryngeal cartilage. And then what is happening to this one? What is this structure? Tracheal ring. So what is the relationship to? anterior to the tracheal ring, and at the second or the third tracheal ring, what is the status of the story? It divides into two lobes. This completes the picture. What happens to these two lobes? It makes something called as a pyramidal lobe. It makes something called as a pyramidal lobe. Okay, chalo. Have you written up till this point? Hello? Have you written up till this point?
Yes, sir.
Good, right. Now, this is an important thing that you were asked in your exams, and hence the reason about writing this. I hope you can write up till this point. Hello? I hope you have written up till this. Good.
Yes, sir.
If you have written
Yes,
up
sir.
till this, then what is a thyroglossal cyst then? What is a thyroglossal cyst? As I have said, this is for a short note and a short case, and definitely multiple MCQs. By definition, a thyroglossal cyst is a type of tubulodermoid arising from the persistent part of thyroglossal tract. I will again repeat the definition. What is the definition? Sir, the definition is that this is a type of a tubulodermoid arising from persistent part of a thyroglossal tract. So this is something called as this part. Now, what is the pathology? The pathology of this is the tract normally. So please see that this is the tract normally. The tract divides into the two and then forms into each lobe of the thyroid. So what is this part called as? What is this thing called as?
Foramen cecum.
Where is it present? The tongue.
Junction of anterior to the
Okay, right. So now, in majority of the cases, what happens is this part technically is atrophied. That means it just vanishes away. What comes is now what is left is this organ which has an isthmus, and what is these two things? So these are the two lobes. I hope you can see this right now. However, if the part persists, a part of the tube is left and the gland can develop. So understand that. So please understand that this is the FC, the foramen cecum. So can you see what is the problem that has come? Hello? Can you see what is the problem that has come? So this problem is very small, that there is a part of the tube that has persisted. Now this part of the tube that has persisted is going to develop then into, now this tube is going to secrete some watery fluid, and a circle is the shape that can accommodate the maximum amount of water. If you think over with a rectangle is triangle is etc. The simple thing in physics that we are taught is that a circle can or a sphere can take around the maximum amount of liquid. Now this part is thus formed. Now I think you have seen this, so you have understood up till this point. And if you have understood up till this point, then this is the formation of a thyroglossal cyst. Have you taken this picture down, or should I make you understand it once again? Hello?
Sir, repeat once again.
Repeat once again. Okay. So in majority of the patients, what is the finding? What is the clinical manifest? What is the pathology in majority of the patients that you can see? This is the foramen cecum. And in majority, what is the main thing that you can get to see in this point? What is the main pathology, sir? Is that what is the fate of thyroglossal tract in majority?
Degeneration.
It is atrophied. Okay. Majority of the patients, what is the fate of the thyroglossal tract? It is atrophied. That's it. The story ends. No more discussions. But in a minority of the patients, small group of patients, what happens is the part of the tract. So if I want to write something, so let us write the part of the thyroglossal tract persist. The part of the thyroglossal tract will persist. And if the thyroglossal tract persists, as you can see in the picture, what is the pathology then that it is making? It is called as thyroglossal cyst. Have I made you understand up till this point?
Yes, sir.
Good, right. So now let us come to the locations of the cyst. Now, when I talk about the locations of the cyst, now this is very common sense that now I'll show you a picture. I think that this is a good picture to understand what exactly can be the location. Now what I will do is that I will color a few parts so that you can understand this part. So to start with, I will color this bone. Okay, what is this bone that I am coloring?
Hyoid.
Is the hyoid. Good one, sir. Then let me color this part. Okay. Okay, what is this gland that I am trying to color?
Thyroid.
Thyroid. Excellent going. So now tell me, the thyroid has a process. What is the thing that I am trying to color?
Pyramidal lobe. It's marked.
Is pyramidal lobe, that is marked. Good. So if this is the pyramidal lobe, then let me mark this one also. Okay, let me mark this one also. I hope all of you will take a snapshot of this picture after I have completed this coloring thing. Okay, what is this organ that I have colored?
Tongue.
Is the tongue. Now let us take the blue color and let us mark the tract. I think you can see the foramen cecum. And when you can see the foramen cecum, can you see the tube that is coming down from the foramen cecum? Okay. And can you see the cyst that is being made in the line? Hello?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay. And can you see that it is continuing up till this? Okay, have I made you understand up till this point?
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. Now, so if this is said to be the most common location of the thyroglossal cyst. What is this location, sir? And believe me, this MCQ has come more than maybe 50 times. Can you remember this picture? What is the relationship of the thyroglossal duct cyst to the foramen, to the hyoid bone. Okay. If you want to take a snapshot, please do. What is the most common location of the cyst? The most common location is subhyoid. Always remember that. What can be other locations of the cyst? Now, the other locations of the cyst that could have been are, number one, you can have it just below the level of the foramen cecum. Under that condition, it will be called as sublingual. Okay. Next, it can be above the level of the hyoid. So, or at the level of the hyoid, it is thus called as not sub, it is called as supra hyoid. What is this position called as?
Subhyoid.
Subhyoid. Good one, sir. Or it could be, what is this structure? Oh, I really forgot to shade this structure, na? ठीक है डॉक्टर साहब शेड कर देते हैं उसको. So let me shade this structure also for you guys. What is this structure that
Laryngeal
I'm
Thyroid
Laryngeal
cartilage.
thyroid cartilage or the Adam's apple? Not cricoid, sir. Cricoid is this one. Okay. So let me now mark this. It can be in front of the laryngeal cartilage. So if it is in front of the laryngeal cartilage, it will be called as pre mane in front laryngeal. Or if it is in front of the cricoid, what will this be called as?
Precricoid.
Precricoid. Now, can you tell me what are the locations of the thyroglossal cyst in this picture? You can draw a picture like this in your exams. You can mark with these blue dots. You can take a screenshot of this one as you like. So this is something called as the various locations of the thyroglossal cyst. Okay. So what is the most common location of a thyroglossal cyst?
Subhyoid.
Subhyoid is the most common location. So this ends up the description about what is what in this point. So do you need me to repeat this part once again?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No? Has
No.
every one of you taken a screenshot?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Or has every one of you made this picture? What are the locations of thyroglossal cyst? Sublingual, subhyoid, no. Suprahyoid, what is the most common location? Subhyoid, prelaryngeal, precricoid, and this. So this completes the description. So now let us come to the clinical presentation. Now you see a child with a thyroglossal cyst. Now this picture, the only important bone that I want to feel is this one. Now let me mark that bone for you guys. What is this bone that I'm trying to draw?
Hyoid.
Hyoid. And if that is the hyoid, very good, then this is the laryngeal cartilage. Okay, so what is the position in relation to this picture?
Laryngeal.
Prelaryngeal. If you say this to be a subhyoid, no issues. I hope all of you will agree that this is below the hyoid.
Yes, sir.
Right? Okay, and the gland or the thyroid gland should be somewhere down here. So if this is the picture and you can remember the picture, you can take a screenshot if you like. What are the clinical presentations of this patient? Okay, right? Can I write here or chalo, I'll write in that place and then you can again take that. So after we have done that, so let us write about what are the clinical presentations. So the clinical presentation is, number one, the age group of presentation is usually in children from the age of 5 years down to, from the age of 5 years, to about 18 years age. Just a minute. From the age of 5 years down to about 18 years. So it can have a big spectrum and can occasionally be seen in adults also. When you talk about the gender, no particular difference, maybe little more common in females rather than males, no particular reason. But it is for all practical purposes equal in both the genders. Third is location. As I have said, the most common location is subhyoid. Now, the position, as you can see in the picture, is in the midline of neck. Maybe it can turn little bit on the left side sometimes. This is for ENT MCQs. If you want to forget the left side, be my guest. Till to my little experience about thyroglossal cyst, I've done around less than 50 cases. Majority of the patients, except for 2, I have seen it on the midline. So if you want to see the picture once again, I think you can see the picture. I hope you will agree with me that more or the less, this is the midline of the body. Okay. Now, if you have understood up till this, the next point, the swelling moves upwards on deglutition. The swelling moves upwards on deglutition, and the swelling moves upwards on tongue protrusion. Now, important questions to ask you, to every one of you. Why does a thyroglossal cyst move upwards on deglutition? Why does a thyroglossal cyst move upwards on tongue protrusion?
So when the
The
tongue is protruded,
The answer to this lies in this picture. I hope all of you will agree, when the tongue is protruded, this is very simple to understand, that this is the muscle that means if the tongue is coming out,
Genioglossus.
genioglossus, I've forgotten those names, thank you. So now tell me one single line answer. Why does a thyroglossal cyst move upwards on deglutition, or sorry, move upwards on protrusion of tongue? One line answer is because, sir, the tongue moves out of the body and this is attached to the tongue by a pendulum like structure or a pendulum like string. In physics class, remember that pendulum, or if you have read the Tintin comics, oh, which character has that pendulum? Calculus. Oh my god, you are all Tintin fans like me. Good. So now that means that it is like that pendulum thing. So if on protrusion of the tongue it moves out, tell me, why does it move upward on deglutition? Deglutition means pani gulat lena, jol khawa, dhok gela. So now tell me, why should a thyroglossal cyst move upwards on deglutition or pani pee lena jaisa? Why should it happen? Because, sir, try to take a gulp of water if you have a bottle of water by your hand, and then tell me what is the first movement that happens when you are taking that gulp of water. Did you take a gulp of
thyroid
take
cut.
No, sir.
Sir,
Absolutely
thyroid
not.
descent. Sir, descent of thyroid.
No, come on,
Larynx
nothing.
moves upwards.
Do you know what is the first thing that happens when you are trying to take a gulp of water?
Tongue touches the palate.
Exactly, the tongue touches the palate. So remember that. If I ask you then that question once again, why does the thyroglossal cyst move upwards on deglutition? The answer for this is because the tongue moves upwards on deglutition, touches the palate maybe. Why does the thyroglossal cyst move upwards on protrusion of the tongue? because of the effect that I told you is called as the pendulum effect. Okay, so this is the reason. So have I made you understand up till this point? Hello, hello, am I
Yes,
audible?
sir.
Right, good.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So have you taken down these points? Hello, have you taken
Yes,
down these
sir.
points? Good. If you have taken down these points, the last of the points are not that important. In swelling classes or in practical classes, we'll read about that. Is about just a second. Is about the shape of the swelling is globular. The surface of the swelling is smooth. The consistency of the swelling is soft or firm. If you are saying soft, it is better called soft cystic. The swelling is not transilluminant. It is not transilluminant. Fluctuation is positive. That's it. So if you have not understood the meaning of these terms, don't worry. Particularly in final year, we'll be talking about examinations of swelling. So for today, at least write this part. This completes your note. Okay. When you talk about the mobility of the swelling, mobility now, if you think over, in which direction do you think this swelling is more mobile? In which direction do you think this swelling will be more
Downwards.
mobile? The
Downward.
answer for this is that consider that this is a pendulum. Okay. Now, very good. So if it is a pendulum, then which direction is a pendulum more mobile, horizontal or vertical? The answer is horizontal. So if you consider this to be a thyroglossal cyst, which direction will you get a mobility? Little on the horizontal side, but if you think over with the vertical, no, it cannot be moved in the vertical side. So if you are still not understanding this, no issues. Just think of this as a pendulum, as I always say. And in which direction does a pendulum move? This way. Okay.
But sir, just now we did said that the cyst moves
No,
upward.
sir, that is on protrusion of tongue. This is a mobility that you are trying to elicit by your fingers. You are trying to move the swelling. Okay. So if you are trying to move the swelling, remember that this string of structure that is there inside is a very tight structure that is attached to the tongue. So until and unless you tell the patient to move the tongue, this is not going to move. So the patient technically has a very restricted mobility, believe me. So mobility is a very restricted finding in this case. So finally, where was I? So this is the mobility done. Now, after this is done, let us talk about investigations and then we'll talk about treatment. So
Say
what are the
fluctuation positive to kisan take you in
these
mobility.
are again, no, sir.
Okay.
Sir, fluctuation means if this is a balloon which is filled up with water, again, I do not know which law, Rascal's law, Pascal's law, I have really forgotten. Okay, my physics is very poor. If you give a pressure on one side, the finger moves on this side. I do not know what is that law is called as. Okay, so this is called as fluctuation. Now talk about investigations. The only investigation now that I need is an ultrasound of the neck. Why? Ultrasound of the neck locates the thyroid. Why do I need to locate the thyroid? Because the cyst can be equal to an undescended thyroid. Now I'm making you understand a difficult concept for even my postgraduates to understand. Understand that in this picture that you drew, the thyroid developed at this point. Remember the foramen cecum? And then understand that the thyroid came down like this. And how did the thyroid develop?
Bifurcation of the
Bifurcation of that. Maybe this whole picture that you have drawn, maybe that the thyroid gland did not bifurcate. Whatever you are getting to see, maybe the only thyroid gland in the patient. So in that rare chance that maybe that this is the only thyroid gland in the patient, so understand that if that is a cyst, kindly mute your audios, please. Okay. So the only point that we do an ultrasound of the neck is that it locates the thyroid. Number two, it tells whether it is solid versus cystic. Remember that a lymph node in the region or a pre-laryngeal or a pre-cricoid lymph node is solid, whereas the thyroglossal cyst is cystic. So remember that ultrasound of the neck locates the thyroid. It is solid versus cystic and tells you the relationship to the hyoid. Okay. So these are the 3 points that I do. So please remember why to do an ultrasound of the neck. It locates the thyroid, solid versus cystic, and shows you the relationship to the hyoid. I do not know whether I have a picture or not. Just a minute. Okay. Now, yes, this is the picture that I wanted you to see. Now, in this picture, understand that. Okay, am I audible, everyone? Hello?
yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
This is a beautiful picture in the neck that tells you that this is the thyroglossal cyst. I think you can see the cyst more or less clearly. I think you can see this cyst. And if this is the cyst, this green colored structure which appears more white and is casting a shadow is a bone called as hyoid. So if this is this, can you tell me what is this black line or what is this black tube?
The remnant.
That thyroglossal tract.
Very good, excellent. So this is technically the thyroglossal tract. So remember that. Thus you can see very beautifully how a thyroglossal cyst is there. And in the class on thyroid, the next class, I will be teaching you how does the normal thyroid look like on an ultrasound. We'll be talking about that in the next class. But for today, remember that I will be erasing everything so that you can have an idea that what is exactly the finding and how does a thyroglossal cyst look like. Okay, so this completes your investigation, relationship with hyoid, and remember that this is how the ultrasound of the neck is done. Now, previously
Sir.
we used to do. Yeah,
This
please keep your
solid,
questions for the last.
Okay, sir.
Please keep your questions for the last. We'll have it. Previously, we used to do something called as a iodine scan. Okay, we do not do this iodine scan now. In this modern era, whatever books we read, they let us do about an ultrasound of the neck. Now, what is the treatment? Because we are at the end of the class. What is the treatment for a thyroglossal cyst? The treatment for a thyroglossal cyst, remember, is that talk about uncomplicated. Now, when I talk about an uncomplicated cyst, what is complication? We'll learn about this. The operation is called as Sistrung's operation. The operation is called as Sistrung's operation. Now, what is this operation? Just see the picture and you will understand it easily. Okay, see the picture. Just a minute. The basic logic of this operation is that if you only cut the cyst, what is the inherent complication that you are going to land up into? If you cut the cyst only, the problem is that will lead to a recurrence, because the only problem is you are going to retain the rest of the tube. So this Sistrung's operation, what is done is, we take the cyst, we take the whole tract, we take the part of the body of the hyoid and also some part of the tongue muscle. So I will again make you understand what is this operation. So what is this operation? So this operation takes the cyst proper. Number two, it takes the tract. Number three, it takes the central part of the hyoid, and finally the base of the tongue. So what are the four things that are removed? Sir, I will again come back. What are the four things that are removed? The four things that are removed are the cyst. What is this structure that is removed? The tract. What is this structure that is removed? The body of the hyoid. And finally, what is the tract that is removed? Is the muscle of the tongue. Okay. So this is operation is called as Sistrung's operation. So always remember this thing, that this is this operation which removes four structures. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now see this picture and you will understand. Very clearly this picture tells you four structures. So if this is something called as the cyst, if this is the cyst, what is this structure? The tract. Okay, what is this bone? The hyoid central part. They should have removed little more of what tissue? They should have removed what more tissue?
Tongue muscle.
Tongue muscle.
Tongue muscle. So please remember that if you are given a picture in an MCQ exam, what is this operation called as? This operation goes by the name of Sistrung's operation. This completes your description about a thyroglossal cyst.
So
Now,
if
what
we
have-
remove a part of hyoid bone, then won't that affect the tongue's attachment to the bone and
No,
movement of tongue?
absolutely not, because the hyoid bone is like a U. What you are removing is only the central part. You are not removing the rest of the lateral attachments of the tongue. They are exactly maintained as the way they are. You are only removing the part of this. Yes, you are absolutely right that some amount of fibers of the genioglossus, the hyoglossus are removed, but that does not create a problem. There are other fibers of hyoglossus also. Now, so we have done about this part again, job done. So now what happens if there is a complication? Now, the only complication that you are required to know is that a thyroglossal cyst, now we called it as thyroglossal cyst, is a TG cyst, contains too much amount of a lymphoid tissue. Now, if it contains a good amount of a lymphoid tissue, it is prone to develop an infection, and infection can lead to an abscess formation. Abscess means collection of pus in the cyst. Now, the only problem is not this one. The only problem is if you now go in for an incision and drainage, the complication is that it forms a thyroglossal fistula. It forms a complication called thyroglossal fistula. So if you have written this, okay. If you have not written this, please complete the writing. So a thyroglossal cyst, lymphoid tissue, infection, abscess, incision drainage leads to a thyroglossal fistula. Have you completed writing up till this?
Yes, sir.
Good.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, in an case of an abscess, do not do incision and drainage. If you do an incision and drainage, you are likely to land up to a thyroglossal fistula. So whatever you are required to do is that please do an aspiration of the pus. The chance of fistula is decreased. That's it. So this completes the complication story. So complication number 1 is this part about an infection. How does this happen? Just give me 2 minutes. I will make you understand. Okay. So this is this part. This. So have you completed up till this?
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
The second complication is malignancy. This is an important MCQ. Remember that the most common malignancy in the
Papillary.
full thyroglossal tract as well as the cyst is always a papillary cancer. So please remember that the most common form of this cancer is a papillary cancer. This is an important MCQ. The second most common, according to Swartz, is anaplastic cancer. Okay. So these are the papillary and anaplastic cancers are common complications. So this completes your full short note with an MCQ points also about what should be or your knowledge about a thyroglossal cyst. Now little bit about something called as a thyroglossal fistula. Now what is this thyroglossal fistula and how does this thing develop? The term fistula is defined as a communication between two epithelial surfaces lined by granulation tissue or epithelium. So this is a golden definition. So I'll mark it with a golden color because this is something that we'll read again and again in surgery. A fistula is defined as a communication between two epithelial surfaces or which is lined by this. Now in this case, why am I telling you this part? If you think over logically, this is the foramen cecum. What is the epithelium down here? This contains an epithelium. I hope you will agree with me that in the tongue there is something called squamous epithelium. Okay. Now, am I audible, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, this is the tract that I am drawing, and this is the, oh, sorry, this is the jaw and etc. This is the skin. Okay. And this is the cyst. Now, what happens one day if this cyst is infected? You will write, don't worry, I will write exactly what I have said. Just understand the concept. Understand the concept first. If the cyst is infected, what is the procedure that I told not to do?
Incision and drainage.
Okay, because if you do an incision drainage, see what happens. The pus is out, but in the route of taking out the pus, what have you done? What have you done?
Spill. There's a
Fistula.
spill.
You have done a communication between the tract and the cyst with the outside. If you have done a communication between the tract and the skin with the outside, this is the skin opening. This is the cyst. This is the tract. And what is this FC story? Is the foramen cecum. So that means now write the pathogenesis, or how does it develop? Very simple. Is thyroglossal cyst undergoes an infection, and when I talk about thyroglossal cyst undergoes an infection, remember that the infection produces pus. We go for an incision and drainage. Then a communication is created between the skin, the cyst, the tract, and the foramen cecum. So this is the pathogenesis. Can I proceed? Have you written?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. So if you have written, and this is the pathogenesis. So thyroglossal fistula is acquired or congenital? If I give you an MCQ, thyroglossal fistula
Acquired.
is
Acquired.
okay. Please remember that under all circumstances, thyroglossal fistula is always acquired. Please remember this thing, please. This is always acquired. This is always acquired. Please remember that. A branchial fistula, we will not read about branchial fistula today, can be both acquired and congenital. Please remember this one. Okay. So branchial fistulas can be both acquired and congenital. Thyroglossal fistulas are always acquired. Now, if they are acquired, on the clinical perspective, which part of the neck do you think will the opening of this fistula be?
Midline.
Okay, it is in the midline. And so if I have a picture, please look into the picture. I think I do have the picture with me. Okay, no, I don't have the picture with me. Okay, so if I had the picture, then I would have shown you. Oh no, I think I have the picture with me. Just give me a minute, please.
স্যার চলে গেল স্যার উপরে ছিল
No, I have the picture, sir. Just give me a minute, please. Okay. Just give me a minute. See this one. Can you see the picture? This picture is about a thyroglossal fistula. This structure is the sternocleidomastoid muscle. I hope you recognize the sternocleidomastoid. And in this one, can you see the opening of the fistula? Now, the only clinical sign that I require you to remember is when the patient will do a tongue protrusion. What do you think is the sign that will happen? When the patient does a tongue protrusion, what will happen to this one?
That thyroglossal cyst will move upwards.
Sir, there is no cyst now. You have taken out all the water in the cyst. आपने पानी निकाल दिया है. Whatever is that
become slit like.
Very good. Now see that this is a small sphere. If it is pulled by the tract which is upward like a pendulum, this is going to become like this, isn't it? It will become, because of the pull in this place, it is going to become like this. And this sign is called as a Hood sign. I hope you know what is Hood. Come on, man, you must have in the winter season, you wear your hoodies. So this is the Hood. So remember that this is called as a Hood sign. Okay. So if I ask you an MCQ, in which condition do you get to see a Hood sign? What is your answer? Is a thyroglossal cyst. Sorry, what is the name of this disease? Thyroglossal fistula. Good. Now, what is the investigation to do for a thyroglossal cyst? See this investigation. I will take out the picture. Now, this is a beautiful picture which tells you what is this cyst and how is this cyst understood. Understand the picture. Now, this is the cylinder. Can you see the cyst in this picture? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Right. Very good. Can you see the opening of the fistula?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Can you see the tract of the fistula?
Yes.
Okay. Now tell me from this picture, where is the tract ending? What should be the ending of the tract? What should be the ending of the tract?
Foramen cecum.
Exactly. So this is the ending of the tract into the foramen cecum. So that means your investigation of the choice is always something called as a fistulography. Now tell me, what is this tube that is behind the cyst?
Trachea.
Very good. Okay, so this tube is the trachea. Good one. I think my job is complete. So this is the anatomy that I wanted you to remember. So if I want, so the clinical point that I always said is the location is in the midline. What is the name of the sign that I told you?
Hood sign.
Hood sign. The treatment is exactly the same as that of a cyst and is also called by the same name, Sistrung's operation. Sistrung's operation. Okay, right. So just 2 points to remember before I go to the last thing for the day and we end the class. This is a sternocleidomastoid muscle. Please understand this for the last 5 minutes and then the class ends. This picture is important because I'm going to mark 2 fistulas with various colors. With this color, I am going to mark in the midline an opening of a fistula. What is this black dot? What kind of fistula is this black dot?
Thyrogloss.
Is a thyroglossal fistula. Is it acquired? Is it congenital? Is a child born with this fistula?
Always acquired.
Acquired.
It is always acquired. Now talk about with a blue dot, something called as a congenital branchial fistula. Now, the reason I made this picture is that so that you can understand it for your MCQ world and for your practical purposes. Please see the location of the fistula. In relation to the sternocleidomastoid, how will you describe the location of this fistula?
Anterior.
Okay. So remember that
Anterior border into the bone.
Anterior border
It
of the
is-
sternum.
it is located at the junction of upper 2/3 and lower 1/3 at the anterior border of sternomastoid. I hope you will remember this. Where is a congenital branchial fistula located? Anterior border of sternomastoid at the junction of upper 2/3 and lower 1/3. Whereas if it is an acquired branchial fistula, then what is the location of an acquired branchial fistula? In which sternomastoid, or where is it located in the sternomastoid? Upper 1/3, lower 2/3. At which border of sternomastoid? Anterior border of sternomastoid. So can you remember these three facts, because they are extremely important for your MCQ world and little bit for clinics. Okay, the last one for the day, and I think you are tired, and I am exhausted also. Is an uncommon disease. Treatment of thyroglossal cyst is exactly the way we do our thyroglossal, fistula is exactly the way we do a, a thyroglossal cyst. Okay. Now the last one, and we end this, does not come in MBBS as a, it does not come in MBBS as a question in an MCQ world. This is only an important curiosity. This is a congenital deformity. See the tongue and the oral cavity. I hope all of you are able to identify what is what. Okay. Oh, sorry. By the way, I hope all of you are able to identify the tongue.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I say, oh my God. Yes. Now, what is this structure? Yeah.
Uvula.
No, this is the anterior pillar maybe, and this is the posterior pillar with the uvula. And what is this structure?
Thyroid.
Lingual
Exactly.
thyroid.
So this one, very good, is technically called as a lingual thyroid, which means, according to the development that I taught you, the thyroid should have come down like this, isn't it? But in this pathology, what is the problem? The thyroid did not come down, and the thyroid developed here only. What do you think is the problem that this baby is going to, this child is going to have?
Difficulty in swallowing.
Difficulty in swallowing. Okay, sir. Anything more? Think practically, in a practical world. Think. If you are having a chocolate in your mouth and someone
Deglutition
asks,
problem.
dentation problems, anything more? If you have a chocolate or a
Deglutition.
golgappa, deglutition problem.
Injury to the
you have-
thyroid.
Dyspnea.
Come on, man.
Sir,
Think practically.
Dyspnea, sir.
problem in talking.
Dyspnea, sir.
Exactly.
Voice.
This child is born with a speech problem. Understand? If you have a golgappa in your mouth or a rasgulla in your mouth, and then see how you can talk. You have a difficulty in closure of the soft palate. You have a speech difficulty. Now, the more the child grows, this material can grow, or this thyroid can grow, and then it will produce a difficulty in deglutition, may produce a dysphagia or deglutition problem. How to know that this is a thyroid? You cannot do an ultrasound. How to know that this is a thyroid? Let me see how well oriented you are. How to know that this is a thyroid? Very good, sir. I will do an
Biopsy.
Oh my God. Which parent is going to allow his children for you to do a biopsy? Think over with an ultrasound of the neck. What are you going to see in this region?
Sir. So, yes, থাকবে না, sir, এখানে।
Exactly.
So, ওটা thyroid.
An ultrasound of the neck is going to show you no thyroid. And what you have said, as I've said, very nice. If you do an iodine uptake, can you see what has happened in this region? This is the thyroid gland.
Iodine
Okay, that's it. What is the treatment for this? The treatment is only one. Please take out the gland by an, this is what ENT people do this, by an endoscopy procedure. So we have completed this rare disease, sorry, we have completed this rare pathology called as lingual thyroid. This is just an curiosity, nothing more. The next class, please remember, we will start with